Breaking news! The Kansas City Chiefs just announced something devastating. The coach revealed the team's mistake. Like and subscribe so you don't miss any Chiefs news. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't begin their 2025 campaign the way they had hoped. In front of an international audience in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the defending champions fell 27-21 to the Los Angeles Chargers in a game that went down to the wire but left Kansas City looking like the inferior team. The loss stings not only because of the result, but because of the way it happened: sloppy execution, injuries piling up, and key mistakes on both sides of the ball. The Chargers caught Kansas City at the right time. The Chiefs entered the season opener already short-handed, dealing with several injuries and suspensions. While no one in the locker room will use that as an excuse, the reality is clear: this was not a full-strength version of Andy Reid's squad, and the cracks showed. The wide receiver depth chart, a lingering concern throughout the offseason, was put under the spotlight almost immediately. On the Chiefs' very first offensive possession, second-year receiver Xavier Worthy was forced to exit the game after a violent collision with Travis Kelce. The young wideout appeared to suffer a shoulder injury and never returned, leaving Patrick Mahomes without one of his most explosive targets. That injury made an already difficult situation even worse. Rashee Rice remains unavailable for the first 6 games of the season due to suspension, stripping the Chiefs of their top receiver from a year ago. His eventual return will undoubtedly boost the offense, but that doesn't help in the immediate future. Rookie Jalen Royals, who flashed promise during training camp, was also sidelined with a lingering knee injury. With both Worthy and Royals unavailable, the Chiefs were forced to adjust on the fly, elevating Hollywood Brown into the number 1 role alongside the always reliable Travis Kelce. For Mahomes and Reid, that patchwork receiving core was never going to be ideal against a divisional rival like the Chargers. The offense found some rhythm late in the game, but the lack of consistency and firepower in the passing attack was evident throughout the night. It wasn't just the players who came under scrutiny after the game. Andy Reid himself admitted that he and his staff didn't do enough to prepare the Chiefs for Week 1. That's a rare statement from a Hall of Fame caliber coach, but one that speaks to how unusual this loss felt. "We can learn from this as we go," Reid told reporters after the game, via Arrowhead Pride's Rico Mendoza. "I need to make sure my team is in a better mental state right away and plays with more passion. We were a little sluggish in that first half and it cost us dearly." The Chiefs did show some life after halftime, scoring 21 points and moving the ball with more urgency. But as Reid himself acknowledged, it was too little, too late. "In the first half, we messed up a bit," he said. "And then in the second half, we improved a bit. We had some more explosive moments and got a better rhythm, but I need to make sure we start faster." Part of the sluggishness can be explained by circumstance. This wasn't a typical Sunday opener at Arrowhead. It was a Friday night primetime game halfway around the world, with the Chiefs playing in a soccer stadium in Brazil in front of nearly 50,000 fans. The travel, the atmosphere, and the unfamiliarity of the setting all contributed to the odd feel of the night. While those aren't excuses, they are factors Kansas City won't have to deal with on a weekly basis. Even beyond the mental lapses, the Chiefs were beaten where it matters most, in the trenches. On offense, the line struggled to create running lanes and failed to keep Mahomes comfortable in the pocket. Right tackle Jawan Taylor and rookie Kingsley Suamataia were particularly shaky, both surrendering pressures and failing to establish physicality at the point of attack. Rookie left tackle Josh Simmons showed flashes of potential, but he also made the kind of rookie mistakes that can swing close games. On the defensive side, Kansas City's pass rush didn't live up to expectations. While the box score shows 3 sacks and 4 quarterback hits, the Chiefs failed to consistently disrupt Justin Herbert. When pressured with exotic blitzes, Herbert adjusted quickly and found answers. When Kansas City rushed just 4, Herbert often had clean pockets to deliver strikes downfield. He finished with over 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, picking apart a defense that looked vulnerable without steady pressure. Credit must also go to the Chargers, who played with physicality and urgency from the opening kickoff. Their defensive line bullied Kansas City's offensive front, and their secondary capitalized on the Chiefs' lack of established receiving threats. On the other side, Herbert looked sharp, distributing the ball effectively and punishing mistakes. For Kansas City, the loss serves as both a wake-up call and a reminder of how difficult it is to repeat in the NFL. Injuries, suspensions, and inconsistency are all part of the grind, and the Chiefs now find themselves in an early hole in the AFC West standings. Still, there's reason for optimism. The Chiefs showed fight in the second half, their stars remain intact, and players like Rice and Royals will eventually return to bolster the offense. Mahomes has engineered comebacks from worse situations, and Andy Reid has been in this position before. The season is long, and Week 1 results rarely tell the whole story. What Kansas City must address immediately, however, are the trenches. If the offensive line cannot protect Mahomes and the defensive front cannot consistently collapse the pocket, this team will struggle against elite opponents like the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 2. For now, Chiefs Kingdom must live with the frustration of an opening night loss. But the message from both Mahomes and Reid is clear: this team has the talent to respond, and the lessons from Brazil may fuel a stronger, more focused Kansas City squad moving forward. Last season, the Kansas City Chiefs managed to overcome questions about their offense, but those concerns never really went away. All offseason long, the narrative revolved around whether Andy Reid's team could find balance between their inconsistent rushing attack and a deep passing game that looked out of sync more often than not. When Kansas City opened the 2025 season in São Paulo, Brazil, against the Los Angeles Chargers, those same issues surfaced once again in a 27-21 loss. However, what truly cost them this time wasn't the offense, it was the defense. That is not a sentence Chiefs fans are used to hearing, especially with defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo still in charge. Since arriving in Kansas City in 2019, Spagnuolo has been the mastermind behind some of the NFL's most disciplined and creative defenses. He built units that could shut down elite quarterbacks, disguise coverages masterfully, and generate pressure from unexpected places. But against Justin Herbert and the Chargers, everything looked out of rhythm. Herbert had one of the best games of his career, completing 25 of 34 passes for 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 131.7 passer rating, the second highest of his NFL career. That wasn't just a bad night for Kansas City's secondary, it was a complete breakdown across the board. For a defense that already slipped dramatically last year, from ranking 4th overall to 27th in DVOA in just the second half of the season, it was a disturbing continuation of a troubling trend. The timing couldn't be worse. Kansas City now prepares to face the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, in Week 2. Facing an explosive, balanced offense like Philadelphia's requires sharp execution and communication. If the Chiefs looked confused against the Chargers, what will happen against Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith? Two major problems stood out in Brazil, and both could be traced back to free agency departures. The first issue came in the trenches. While Chris Jones remains one of the most dominant defensive linemen in football, he was left carrying the load by himself. When lined up inside, Jones registered 4 pressures, but outside of him, interior disruption was non-existent. Opposing quarterbacks know that if Jones is doubled, the rest of the line has little left to threaten them. That's where the absence of Tershawn Wharton loomed large. Wharton quietly had an outstanding 2024 season with 9 sacks and 42 total pressures, giving Kansas City an interior duo that consistently collapsed pockets. But in the offseason, he departed for a 3-year, $45.5 million contract with the Carolina Panthers. His absence leaves a glaring hole in Spagnuolo's front, one that was exposed in the opener as Herbert stood comfortably in clean pockets and distributed the ball at will. The second, and perhaps even more damaging issue came on the back end of the defense: safety play. For years, Justin Reid was Spagnuolo's trusted quarterback of the secondary, a reliable communicator who kept the Chiefs aligned while still providing physical play in coverage and run support. But Reid left in free agency as well, signing a 3-year, $31.5 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. That left Spagnuolo with Brian Cook and second-year safety Jaden Hicks as his primary duo. Neither player looked ready for the responsibility. Hicks, in particular, had a night to forget. He allowed 2 of Herbert's 3 touchdown passes, both on plays where his coverage assignment slipped away. On one, Keenan Allen found himself wide open after Hicks failed to adjust in zone rotation. On another, Quentin Johnston beat Hicks despite what appeared to be initially solid positioning. In Spagnuolo's scheme, which relies heavily on press coverage from cornerbacks, safeties must be in constant communication to prevent breakdowns. On Friday night, that communication simply wasn't there. Spagnuolo has long been known for his ability to fix problems quickly. His adjustments in past seasons have allowed Kansas City to peak at the right time, even when early season struggles appeared alarming. That track record suggests the Chiefs shouldn't panic just yet. But make no mistake, this was a defensive meltdown, and one that raises real questions about how quickly this group can regain its footing. The Chiefs' identity has always revolved around Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid's offensive creativity, and the fireworks they produce with the ball. But what separated their championship teams in recent years was the defense's ability to hold its own, pressure elite quarterbacks, and create turnovers at critical moments. If the defense can't be trusted, Kansas City will find itself in shootouts every week, and while Mahomes is capable of winning those games, it's not a sustainable formula for a full season, especially against elite competition. There's no denying the talent still on this roster. Chris Jones is a game-wrecker, L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie are strong corners, and the Chiefs still have young pieces who can grow into bigger roles. But without Wharton's interior presence and Justin Reid's leadership in the secondary, Spagnuolo must find new answers fast. Whether that comes from player development, schematic tweaks, or personnel adjustments, the urgency is real. For now, the Chiefs have no choice but to regroup quickly. The Eagles are looming, and with their balanced offense and big play potential, Kansas City's defense will be tested immediately once again. Spagnuolo has earned the benefit of the doubt over the years, but the truth is clear: the Chiefs' biggest problem right now isn't their receivers, their run game, or even their offensive line, it's the defense. And until that gets fixed, Kansas City's road back to another Super Bowl will be much more difficult than expected.